How have you made it this far in life? Where does your provision come from? My name is Gabriel Griess, founder of Navigating Leaders and the host of the Navigating Leaders podcast, where you're waking your vision and live boldly. So when I bring up provision, right, a lot of people think about money, food. They might even think about things like food and water and housing, right? All the things that we look at to be secure, right? And the story of the world, the story of culture would tell us certain things we need to have, right? For those of you listening in the United States, there's the phrase of the American dream, right? The 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, 2 cars, a white picket fence, a dog named Spot, 2.5 kids. Never quite sure how we get to the half kid, but for the story, we'll go with it, right? And so provision is really a step towards survival. And surviving is what you've managed to do, right? You've heard me say this before, you're a champion, right? For you to be here today listening to this, to have the resources, the time, the device, the connection to the internet, you are winning. But sometimes it doesn't feel like that. Sometimes it doesn't feel like enough, or I'm falling behind, or I haven't achieved, or I haven't succeeded or measured up, or I'm not keeping up with the Joneses. And so the world will pitch you a story through media, social media, stories, neighbors, wherever it can get its hands on you to say you're not enough. You haven't done enough. Or worse yet, you're not worthy. You know who you've been. You know what you've done. You know where you've been. You know the things you've said. You know the things you've thought. Why would you ever deserve to be provided for? This is all a story. It's all a myth, and it's all a lie. It's the big lie, right? It's the big lie from the devil. And it's perpetuated based on fear, right? So when we're afraid, we're in survival. When we're in survival, we'll do whatever it takes, right? We fall into our base animal instincts because we're like, I've just got to survive. But if you ever stopped and stepped back for just a second, how many nights have you slept without a home or a blanket or a pillow? How many nights have you gone to bed hungry? I promise you there are people listening that these things have happened. Right? Maybe they slept in their car, maybe for a long time. Maybe they had to eat from not the nicest places. But you survived. You're here. You're a survivor. So when it comes to provision, I'll tell you, it comes from God. We'll get into the story and why that's so true and why there's a mind shift that's available to you in this moment today and every day to relax, to breathe, to get present, right? In Luke 12:24, it speaks about birds, like ravens. Do they build storehouses? Do they lay up grains for seasons? No. And how much, and they're provided for, and how much more does God love you? And he'll provide for you. He already has. Like, look at your life. You're here. Look at what you're wearing. Look what's in the bank account. Maybe it's not the number you've always dreamt of or wanted. Okay. We can talk about that and how to create that in the results tree, right? But you are here. You are winning. You are succeeding. And so much of this and what we talk about is in some cases just a switch of your mindset, right? The actions may be the same, right? The actual things you do may stay the same, but the intention, the heart space, the come from, the energy with which you step into the arena is different. And so the world would tell you what? Do good in school, get a good job. In the old days, they'd say, stick around until you get a pension. All those are few and far between anymore, right? And so all those are stories about, in some ways, how to be in control, right? If I do good in school, and then I get a good internship, or I get a good job, or I get a good apprenticeship. Then I'm going to get a trade or a skill or a profession, and then that's going to grow into, higher levels of opportunity, higher levels of success, which usually leads to more money, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But there's a story and a term that a lot of folks reach into that say that that's the rat race, right? It's just a different version of the same thing, right? There's a book I'm really into right now, and it's called The Lorax, right? It's an old children's book. Used to read it to the kids, and in our own world, right? In my own world right now with the business and the things we're doing, provisions come up as a topic, right? And I've gotten to look at where provision comes from. In fact, I was going to give a conversation or share with my team this very story at the start of the new year, and I didn't. I mean, we didn't get around to it. It just wasn't right with the trainings and the things we were doing and kicking off the new year, and it just was kind of counter to it. And what was funny, right? Funny is that I have this thought that it's for somebody else, when in reality it was for me and for my family, right? It was for me to look at provision. It was for me to look at, am I living my vision, right? Is it awakened? And am I living boldly? And I can be bolder, right? Which is crazy, right? Like I'm sitting here right now, and this is bold and out of the comfort zone and kind of crazy in some ways, right? But I can always be bolder, right? And boldness is an act of faith, right? I'm stepping out further into surrendering control to say, God, I trust you. You've gotten me this far. I have faith. I know you're going to take me the next step, right? Because you already know what those next steps are, right? So this is kind of some heady stuff that I'm going to ask you to sit with and chew on a little bit, because there's a freedom on the other side of this, right? So when we get into the book, the results tree, and there's 11 F's in there, one of them is finance, right? Faith, family, finance, fitness. And so finance is really provision. But there's another one called freedom. And I'll tell you, when you get your provision straight, when you get your finance and where it comes from, grounded, where it belongs, there's a real sense of freedom, right? There's just a breath, a lightness, an excitement that you're like, I'm good. I'm good. I've been taken care of every day of my life. I'll be taken care of every rest of the day. Let's go. Like, let's get after it. What am I here for? What's my purpose? Right. And then I step into that arena. Right. So what I don't want you to hear me say is that your needs aren't real. Your needs are very real. Right. We need 8 hours of sleep. If you're not getting it, get it. It's good for you. If you can get 9, do it. Right. If you're a teenager, 12, 13, 14, sometimes it seems like, as they're growing. Right. We need to have a good diet. Right. Eat on the outside of the grocery store. You can stay out of the center aisles, avoid the processed foods, avoid anything that has a shelf life as long as a Twinkie, right? Like we know the things we need to do to sustain this vehicle known as our bodies, right? To provide for it, right? To clothe it, all those sorts of things. So our needs of safety and security and provision and sustenance are true. What I'm asking you to do is to acknowledge, maybe for the first time, or to realign to it, is that it's not up to you, right? It's not for you to do. God's got a plan for you. It's going to be taken care of. So this is talking about a lot in the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? And so if you look it up and you look at the pyramid, most of us have seen it somewhere in our education process about it's hard to be actualized if I'm not fed or safe and secure, right? And so that's an attempt, right, to build a structure that people can understand. But I think it also then leans into, maybe I have control over this, and you don't. Like, control is an absolute illusion, right? I have faith, and I can do in this moment exactly what the best I can do, and then walk that out, right? So an example I'd give you is, have you always had the same job? right? Think back to your first job. Then was there a second job? Maybe a third. Were they in the same fields, right? So my background, right, I was a kid who put up hay in Nebraska, right? Built fences, chopped shatter cane out of milo fields, got some scars to show that because I wasn't very good with a corn knife. Then it's go off to the Air Force and fly airplanes, and then some sort of an adventure in politics and entrepreneurial land, both of which paid nothing. I called entrepreneurial land or better known as unemployment until it turned into something, right? And then I got into the space we're in now. And, all those were different. In all those arenas, I was cared and fed and housed and clothed and all those sorts of things. And so it's not my job. That's not where my provision comes from, but it comes through that job. It comes through that business. It comes through that side hustle. It comes through that grant or scholarship or whatever it is, right? But make no mistake, that's God's provision for you, right? And so it's just a really neat realization, right? And so I invite you to look at that, right? And so you can surrender the keeping up. You can surrender the Insta-worthy, the Facebook-worthy, the post-worthy, perfect picture, and settle into that if God was willing to send his son to die, to redeem you, to bring you back into relationship with him, you think he's not going to take care of you tomorrow and the next day? So Psalms 37:25 says, I once was young and now I'm old, which actually with a little bit of a gray beard, there's some truth coming to this, right? Yet I've never seen the righteous forsaken or their children begging for bread, right? And that's the story. That's the narrative. That's the scary part, right? It's like if you're a father, I was having this conversation earlier today, right? If I'm a father, then we're taught that we have this role as a provider, right? And mothers and women can take on that role as well, right? They can have that heart space of, gosh, I have to provide. And especially if you're a single mom, then you definitely have that heart space. But what I would say is, God, our Father, is our provider. We, those of us that are heads of households, right, are the protectors. We're also the teachers and the healers and the lovers, the different archetypes. But none of those ancient archetypes speak about being providers. Provision comes from a divine place, not from an earthly place. And so just be with that, right? I'm not saying this is going to, maybe a bell's gone off for something. If it has, shoot us a note, right? Let us know because we're in lockstep with you, right? I get it. I'm there with you. It's awesome. It's new. It's invigorating. It's freeing, right? To not be constantly up against it. But it does take a different look, right? And in Matthew 6:31-32, it talks about don't worry about what you're going to eat or drink, right? Pagans rush after those things, but the Father knows you need them, right? He knows. He made us, right? He's before the dawn of time determined the opportunities out before us and where our life is going to go, right? And so he doesn't have you start that race thinking you're going to run out of gas before you get to the end of it. So I hope that this discussion around provision creates relief, gives you a space for a breath to maybe see something a little bit differently, right? To step back into that work environment or that academic environment or wherever you're finding yourself spending the majority of your time every day engaging. Maybe you're toiling, right? But you're there pouring your life force into it, and to not be fearful that if I do something wrong, I'm not going to be provided for, right? If I don't do something right, I'm going to get scolded or sent away or fired, right? because that's terrifying and that is no way to live. So in the Air Force, we used to talk about this, and I use it a lot now, and that is we talk about bloom where you're planted. In fact, I'm in the process right now working with somebody who has done an amazing job where they're at, and it's made them, a target to be elevated, right? It's somebody that I'm like, hey, this person gets to be developed. There's so much here for them. And so that's your invitation is you're in the present moment. You're here. Do your best. Pour into what you're doing. Do it from a love space, a heart space of love. And the rest takes care of itself, right? So bloom where you're planted. The other one that I really just heard the other day that I never heard before, and that is, we've heard the phrase, the grass is always greener, right, on the other side of the fence, which leaves people always wanting or looking or coveting or reaching or thinking what is here isn't enough. And this one really touched me, and it is, the grass is greenest where it's watered. The grass is greenest where it's watered. And so I look at that very similarly to bloom where you're planted, right? So you are where you are in this moment. And as you've heard us say before, right? You're exactly where you're supposed to be. And so from that place, you can go anywhere, right? And one of the first places, and the places the devil loves to get us off track, is around money. It's around safety. It's around security. And that word is provision in this case, right? So know where your provision comes from. Cut that cord. Tell the devil, thanks for sharing, but not today, Satan, right? Go away, dude. Like, I don't have time for this. And just see the space of tranquility, the space of I'm okay. I'm safe. I'm provided for. So I asked, how have you made it this far in the beginning? It's because of a father's love. He's got you. He made you. He loves you. He adores you. He wants nothing more than for you to live the fullest, most dynamic, outrageous version of yourself that only you can live. And here's the kicker. He gave us free choice. So you get to choose. Here's a beautiful thing. So if you don't choose today, you can choose tomorrow. He's still there, still loves you completely, fully forgiven, fully ready to welcome you home. So this has been awesome for me personally, right? Walking this dog, going through this experience and looking at it has helped me personally with my relationship around provision. And so I hope through sharing this, there's been something here for you. If it is for you, listen again. Like, there's some stuff in here that's going to shake some stuff up. And in that disturbed space, you can choose differently. You can put the puzzle back together differently. You can put the pieces back together, right? Or it made you think of somebody. Like I always say, drop it into a text, send it to them, invite them to be part of the Navigating Leaders community. Join us on the socials, share with us what's going on. If you have a massive, or when you have a massive illumination around this, share it, right? Let us celebrate with you, because this is one of the biggest cords you can cut, and it will open so many doors for joy and freedom and peace and excitement and everything this life is meant to be, right? It's meant to be joyful. It's meant to be fun. Let it be fun. So you're a champion. I honor you. I honor you for making it this far, for choosing to take yourself on, choosing to be the better version of yourself, and choosing, thank you, for listening to this podcast. I'm Gabriel Griess, founder of Navigating Leaders, your host. And at Navigating Leaders, we awaken your vision so you can live boldly. Let's go do it. Live boldly. Take a chance on yourself. We're all cheering for you. Until next time, be well and God bless. Thank you.